Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily, part of the Fan Arch Podcast Network. I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to here on a Friday show. The Brewers finished up there in Detroit. Tough ending to that one. Also, Brewers prospect hospitalized. We'll get into that. Another update from the farm system from AAA Nashville as well, and a look ahead to tonight's game. But we got to start with wrapping up that series in Detroit for the Brewers. A tough one, a tough pill to swallow, as Abner Uribe allowed a walk-off home run to Spencer Torkelson in the ninth inning to lose the game, lose the series. Tough go of it. The Brewers had plenty of opportunities there. Tarek Skubal was dominant for the first three innings. Just sensational. He looked like a back-to-back Cy Young winner. And then the Brewers finally scratch a run across against him. They get a couple of doubles from their catchers, from Contreras and Gary Sanchez. You scratch a run across, you're down 2-1. And then they finally get to Skubal a little bit late there. Blake Perkins coming up with a massive hit. 2 RBI double. Great for Perkins. So happy for him. It's been such a struggle for him offensively this year. So to be able to come through against one of the best pitchers in baseball, absolutely love to see it for him. But then you had a couple of other opportunities. You had the bases loaded, 1 out. Bryce Terang grounds into an ending double play. You had multiple brutal double plays late in that game where the Brewers had opportunities to add on and put some more runs on the board. They had some great chances and hit into double plays. William Contreras was up 3-0 in the count on Skubal, and with the bases loaded, and he swung away 3-0 on a pitch up in the zone and grounded into a double play. Like, what are you doing there? That's a tough one. Love Contreras. I understand the Brewers trusting him and giving him the green light, but for Contreras, I mean, he's got to know better than swinging in that spot. For that pitch up in the zone, you can't, with 1 out, with the bases loaded, you cannot ground into a double play in that spot. 3-0. You're 3-0 in the count. You can't do it. Can't do it. So just instances like that. Situational hitting for some of those guys just wasn't there. They had the opportunities to add on. They could not. And so once they continued to fail in those spots, it just kind of felt inevitable that the Tigers would end up winning that game. And sure enough, they did there. Uribe serving up the solo home run to end it. So it's a tough way to go, especially because, you're facing Tarek Skubal. And he pitched really well for most of that game, but you're able to scratch it and get some run, get some things across on him, get some base runners. You're able to tie the game. You're able to take the lead in this game and just unable to hold on to it, unable to add on those insurance runs that you desperately needed, and it ends up in a loss. Brandon Sproat pitched pretty well. He gave up, obviously, the 2-run homer in the first inning, but settled in pretty nicely from there to put the Brewers in a pretty solid spot in this game, but still not quite able to come across and get the win. And this is going to be one of those that eats at you. When you get to the end of the season and when you're looking at the standings and there's a difference of one game, this is going to be one of those where you think back like, man, you could have had it. It was right there for the taking. All those opportunities with runners in scoring position, all those double plays. It's just, it will eat it. It will eat at you. You had a chance to beat Tarek Skubal, unable to do it. And the Brewers now return home as they start a series against the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have been actually on a roll here to start the season. They've been doing well. The Brewers are actually, despite having a 13-11 record, the Brewers are in dead last in the NL Central. The Cubs have gone on a massive winning streak, taking advantage of the Phillies being terrible. They're at 16-9. The Reds are 16-9. Pirates 14-10. Cardinals 14-10. Brewers 13-11. They're 2 games over 500, and they are the worst team in the NL Central. I mean, this is a phenomenal division that the Brewers are in, the NL Central. Everyone always craps on it, being the Central. But so far, through the first month of the season, it has been the best division in all of baseball. I mean, all these teams have been phenomenal to start the year. So now the Brewers finally get a chance to play some NL Central opponents and play the Pirates here, so that could change things up, hopefully, in these division standings. But yeah, tough way to end it there in Detroit. So another tough way to end a game is how it ended for the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers the other night, as that game was called in the 8th inning because Luis Pena, one of the Brewers' top prospects, their number 2 prospect, had to be driven away in an ambulance and sent to a hospital. He collapsed in the dugout during the 8th inning, and no one really kind of knew what was going on. Then they call the ambulance out on the field, and they get him over to a nearby hospital there in Fort Wayne. So very kind of scary situation. No one really kind of knew what was going on with him. And then ultimately we do end up getting a statement from the Brewers, from Matt Arnold, saying, quote, Luis Pena overheated and passed out in the dugout during last night's Wisconsin Timber Rattlers game in Fort Wayne, excuse me. Quote, he was transported to the hospital and treated with an IV. He is doing well, according to our medical staff, though it is a situation we will continue to monitor. So, overheated, not enough hydration, not enough water, not enough Gatorade in him, and just ended up passing out there in the dugout. So gets the IV. He's doing a lot better. He's been discharged from the hospital since, so that is good news. So it's nothing serious, nothing major ultimately, but it's still, it's concerning to see that happen to a player, especially one of the Brewers' top prospects. But really anyone. To have that kind of scary situation, have the ambulance drive out onto the field, it really is a tough spot for all these guys to be in. And he's been off to such a great start to the season, too. I mean, he's hitting .372. I mean, he's so hot at the plate it caused him to overheat in general. Okay? Like, I can make jokes because he's fine. Okay? So, like he has survived. He's been discharged. There's no serious concern. So, now we can just kind of let a joke like that go. But still, I mean, he's been off to a phenomenal start at the plate, having a great season so far. Probably shouldn't be too long until he's up at AA Biloxi. But still, very scary situation. But Luis Pena is going to be fine. He has been released from the hospital, and he should be ready to get back into game action fairly soon here. So that would be nice to see for the Brewers. So scary spot for us, a lot of us to wake up to. Some people watching it, the night before, but still very kind of scary news there. Excuse me. All right. Elsewhere in the minor leagues, with AAA Nashville, Craig Yoho, he has been on rehab assignment in Nashville. That rehab assignment has now been concluded, and he has been reinstated from the IL and optioned to AAA Nashville. So, kind of to be expected here with Yoho. He was basically on the edge of making the roster anyways, coming out of camp until obviously the calf injury that he was dealing with. So now that he has gotten his rehab assignment completed, they're not necessarily looking to make a roster move quite yet for that bullpen. So Craig Yoho is going to remain in AAA Nashville for the time being, continue to get some innings under his belt and get into a rhythm, get into a flow there. And I'm sure at some point throughout the season here, though, we are going to see him get the call up, provided that command continues to improve. That's really kind of the key for him. So Craig Yoho is off the injured list, so that's good. He is available to be called up whenever the Brewers need him, but he is not being called up at the moment. He has been optioned to AAA Nashville after being reinstated off the IL. Meanwhile, Tyler Black, who was also reinstated off the IL the other day, he was mysteriously scratched from the lineup on Thursday night for Nashville. He was in the initial lineup that they posted. Then next thing you know, shortly before game time, they announce, hey, brand new lineup, and Tyler Black is not in there. So it instantly made me think of the Brian Windhorst. Now, why would they do that? So your mind goes to it, and what the Brewers talked about with Tyler Black back in Miami, once he got activated off the IL. Pat Murphy mentioning, yeah, we've talked about him. Maybe he could be a possibility here for the big league club, making a roster move. They wanted him to get some more at-bats first under his belt, and now all of a sudden mysteriously scratched before Thursday night's game. So that leads many, including myself, to wonder, could we be seeing Tyler Black get on a plane to Milwaukee and join the team at American Family Field as the series is set to begin against the Pittsburgh Pirates? It's certainly very possible. We could see Greg Jones probably get optioned out, get sent back to Nashville, and Tyler Black come up to provide some insurance there in the outfield and at first base and DH, because I think the Brewers want to see what he can do. He had a hot spring as well. So that could be what we're seeing here. It also could be nothing. It could be, something else popped up. He pulled a hamstring in warm-ups. Who knows? But we will find out at some point today when we walk into that Brewers locker room. And if Tyler Black has a locker, you'll certainly be hearing about it there on my Twitter account at dgasper24. I have real live time updates there on that. So Tyler Black could be coming up here fairly soon. Again, nothing official on this, but he got scratched from the lineup for no reason, seemingly, on Thursday night. So that does kind of make you wonder if there's something going on. If the Brewers made a decision after the day game in Detroit, and they called down and said, "Hey guys, we're going to make the move. We're going to call up Tyler Black," and they just instantly pulled him from the lineup after it was already posted. If it was a scheduled day off or something else, like, they wouldn't have posted the initial lineup with him in it. But when they make those kind of changes like that, there is that thought, okay, this could be the big league club calling down and making a move. So we will ultimately find out, but it could be Tyler Black time fairly soon here in Milwaukee, which would be nice to see. And then finally here, Tyler Black could be coming up. It could be in support of Brandon Woodruff versus Paul Skeens. That's right, that is the pitching matchup here tonight. So obviously, yesterday, it was Tarek Skubal being able to pitch against the Brewers, your reigning AL Cy Young winner, and now it's the reigning NL Cy Young winner in Paul Skeens. This is only the second time in MLB history that a team has faced back-to-back reigning Cy Young winners. So, yay, what luck for the Brewers. And they nearly pulled out a win against Skubal. And the Brewers have had actually pretty decent history against Paul Skeens. And you'll have, arguably your own ace in Brandon Woodruff out on the mound. Some may say Jacob Misiorowski. Misiorowski certainly lights up the radar gun a bit more than Woodruff does these days, but Woodruff still has that bulldog in him. I mean, there is zero doubt about that. When Woodruff is on, I mean, he is as efficient and as good, really, as anyone. So I'm very excited for this pitching matchup. The Brewers are kind of promoting it, kind of similar to what they did last year when it was Misiorowski versus Skeens, although maybe not quite to that extent, but still, they're pushing. I mean, this is a primetime kind of pitching matchup, a Friday night primetime. Brandon Woodruff, Paul Skeens. I mean, you got the wily veteran, you got the young phenom who has the Cy Young under his belt now. I mean, that is some appointment television watching for sure. Appointment game watching. If you can get a ticket, if you can be there, absolutely, because it is going to be electric, the atmosphere, and it is going to be a really, really fun game. And hopefully the Brewers can get a win against this young winner. Maybe some home cooking will do it for him. Maybe having Tyler Black on the team will do it for him. But it should be a fun game and really, really important series here for the Brewers, as they are going to be trying to fight their way back up in the NL Central standings, because, again, they are in dead last right now. Now, granted, they are 2.5 games back. So it's not like they're super far out of the race here that they got to dig out of. It's a very, very close division. I don't think there's been too much of any games within the division so far. So once we get to these teams playing each other throughout the schedule, then we're going to see a little bit more separation between the top and the bottom teams. Are the Pirates and the Cardinals going to be able to remain at this kind of pace? I don't know, but we will certainly find out as the season goes along. But the Cubs have been on a hot stretch. The Reds have been playing really well. The Brewers, they've been on some good stretches, but you had that 6-game losing streak. You lose the series now against Detroit, so that puts them in a bit of a tougher spot there in a very, very competitive NL Central division. But we'll be covering it all season long. We'll be covering it here on Brewers Daily, so be sure to subscribe, get notified every single time a new episode drops. I'll also be covering it on my Twitter account at dgasper24. Be sure to follow me there for lots of great insight. Now with the team back home, being able to be at the clubhouse, get some insights there from the players, from the coaches, from Pat Murphy, all that group. So follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. If you've enjoyed the show here, please feel free to drop a review. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we are on there as well. Appreciate all of you watching and listening, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.